and we are live on Facebook. Welcome everyone to another New Jersey Constitutional Republicans virtual conversation. It's my great privilege and honor tonight to have the entire Gloucester Township Republican team of representatives here to discuss the campaign and their election and hopefully their victory on November 2nd. Welcome to all.
Thank you.
Thank you, JR, and thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a great pleasure, and I'd like to start with you one at a time to give us a brief bio about yourself and let the audience know, and especially those voters in Gloucester Township, who you are.
Well, I'll
Joe,
start.
we'll start with you. You're the mayor, right?
Let's hope so. From your mouth to God's ears. So, my name is Joe Damico. I'm running for mayor. I've been a resident of Gloucester Township since 2006. When I first came into town, I moved into this area because of location. I had tanning salons kind of throughout the state of New Jersey and one in Pennsylvania, and I needed something that was very centrally located to this area. And to this day, I maintain that this is a fantastically located town, and which little underutilized, but it's an amazing town, an amazing location nonetheless. Shortly after I transitioned out of the tanning industry after the 2008 financial crisis, we were lucky to get out of the tanning business because people didn't have dispensable income, and $45 billion industry actually got destroyed. We had at the time Corzine put a 7% tax on tanning, and Obama put a 10% tax on tanning. So when I transitioned out of the service in 2002 with hopes of becoming a young entrepreneur, that was stifled by Democratic policies. And when you're charging a certain amount of money for a decade, and then all of a sudden you start charging 17% more for the exact same services, people tend to get a little upset with you. And unfortunately, that's a policy that was out of our control. And then when the financial crisis hit, we had to sell out and kind of salvage everything we could. That's when I transitioned to construction. And I was always a friends and family guy, and was always handy and always kind of a self-starter. So I got into construction business, and I started, one job at a time. And before you know it, I put a lot of food on a lot of people's table over the years. And we've been doing it for now over 15 years. I've also went on, became a home inspector, started a mold remediation business, and other kind of industry specific things that complement my construction business. I was in the service, went in after my first year, and went in 2006. I'm sorry, went in 1996. Got out right after Afghanistan, right before Iraq, and like you said, I believe you said your nephew was a Green Beret. Although I was in the Air Force, I spent my entire career with the Army, and I was fortunate enough to do my last 3 or 4 years with Army Special Forces there with 10 Special Forces Group out in Fort Carson, Colorado. I've been on the bench for a while here in Gloucester Township, so I've kind of watched how things have gone. When I first purchased, we did actually have a Republican mayor, and I actually had a conversation with her. I sat on the phone with her for an hour one time. I can say honestly, I've never had one conversation with Dave Mayer since I've been in town. And like I said, I sat on the bench here. I watched as businesses fled, how the streets have gone. It looks like some of these things look like some of the countries that Teddy, Ray, and I have all have been to, and it's a sad state of affairs. So when I got approached by the GOP about 2 or 3 years ago, they said I got a flyer, and my wife says to me, she goes, "You know what? You need to respond to this." And it was from Ray Polidoro in the GOP here, and she said, "You should really get involved." I watched when I moved in, my taxes were about $6,100. and they're over 10,000 for the exact same thing. But the only difference is services may be about the same, but the amenities aren't nearly as much. There's not nearly as many restaurants. The roads aren't nearly as good. The school ratings are down so much that my daughter's in private school. There's things that could be done and things can be fixed, and people like us are fixers. With Natalie working with people in inner city Camden, and with Ray having done everything he's done around the world to protect American freedoms and people, and Teddy the same, with all his service to the West Point grad and going on and being an officer in the Army. There's a lot of leadership and a lot of, I think, positive aspects that we could bring to government with our vast amount of experiences, when all our individual things and all the things we've done after the service, because the service isn't an all be all, but it's a place where you learn a lot and you're able to fix things because you see from a macro approach of how things are done, and you dial it back to a micro approach. So that's what that's why I got involved. I can't sit on the bench any longer and sit around and watch other people not be able to fight for themselves, or not have the, fortitude to stand out in front or put themselves out there and watch as people lose their homes in this town, as tax rates go up and people on fixed incomes have to make really, really hard choices when they got to choose between whether or not they're going to turn the air conditioning on when it's 100 degrees, or whether or not they're going to have the heat on in the winter. That's no way to treat elderly. And if you're on a fixed income in this town, it's going to, your mortgage doesn't go up, your taxes do. So although your income's fixed, your expenses are going up. And I'm tired of watching people as I flip homes. So selfishly, I would like to see, change, but it's a terrible thing to see when that people are losing their homes because their government's choices and the choices that we're making are negatively affecting the people in the town. So.
Good question, Joe. And how about Natalie? How about if you go next?
Absolutely. Good evening, JR, and thank you so much for inviting us to do an interview with you. My name is Natalie Rivera, and I'm a mother of 6, a proud mother of 6. I am a social worker. I work in the city of Camden. I work with various people, veterans, homeless, stay-at-home moms. I work with gentlemen that are getting a second chance, and I bring a vast talent to this team to lead Gloucester Township. It's a privilege and honor to run for office. I am a former U.S. Senate candidate and a proud Republican. So I just thank you so much for the time that you're giving us to interview and get our voice out there and to represent the Gloucester Township residents.
Outstanding, Natalie. How about if you go next, Ray?
Thanks, JR. My name is Ray Henry. I am a retired U.S. Army veteran. I moved to Gloucester Township in November of 2014. We live here with my wife and my 2 children, 18 and 16. One's in college and one's a junior in high school. I'm not a politician by trade. I spent 18 years of my life being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Never really had a political opinion, wasn't allowed to. We just showed up, we did our work. I decided to get involved. Based off of a detention pond near my house and the way that, the neighbors in my neighborhood are being treated and how the things go and what I've seen. And, in short, I may not know a lot about politics, but I know what right looks like. And I'm your basic citizen that is just standing up to get involved. And, I want to make sure that the citizens are taken care of and the residents of this township are taken care of. They're not being treated fairly. They get talked to like they're trash. by the administration we have now. I've been talked to like that, trying to get my own issues resolved. And it just really comes down to, they deserve better. They're paying for a product. They're not getting the product that they're paying for. And it's sad to watch. And, I feel like I can definitely do a better job than what they're doing in there. So, I'm just here to make sure that the citizens and the residents get treated the way that they do, with the respect and the dignity. I do budgets and budget analytics for work. I just reconciled like 6 different accounts, each with 5 to 6 different lines of accounting for roughly $5.3 million in the last 2 days, and just allocated funds for 7.3 million. So, I definitely bring a lot to the table. My biggest issue is just the way that the township treats the residents. Like, I've been to 39 different countries, officially and unofficially. I've seen dictatorships. I've seen how those countries get treated by their leaders. And to have 7 people from the same political party just rubber stamp things and just push things through and just, just do the things that they do. There's no checks and balances. It's not the way that our country was designed to be. There needs to be checks and balances and accountability and transparency. And that's what I plan to bring when we get elected on November 2nd.
Standing, Ray. And last but not least, Theodore Teddy Liddell.
Yes. Hey, thank you so much, JR. I really do appreciate this opportunity to kind of, talk about our ideas and kind of introduce myself. So thank you so much. Again, my name is Teddy Liddell. Very excited to be running for council, Gloucester Township Council this year. I've been in the town for 11 years. I'm married, have a wonderful, beautiful wife, Relisha. I think you may see her picture behind me there. And we have 6 lovely kids. The oldest is 24, the youngest is 5. And, we're a family. And I would say one very important aspect as to why all of us are running is because we care about people. And more importantly, we care about families and how they're doing here in our town. And that is just so important, especially when you consider, really what's been going on in the past, 1 to 2 years. We've undergone this pandemic. We've have a economic downturn. Prices of insurance is increasing, prices of healthcare, food prices, gas prices, car prices, home prices, you name it, prices, the things we pay for have increased. And on top of all that, lo and behold, the township thinks it's a good idea to raise taxes on us during the pandemic. So look, they've been in office for 11 years, right? I ran for council way back in 2011. They've been in office for almost that long. And I gotta tell you that over time, when people are in office, they tend to care more about doing anything they can to stay in office. And simply put, the 4 of us, Joe, Natalie, Ray, and myself, we're about simply wanting to serve. That's our motto. And that's what we intend to do when we win on November the 2nd. So I'm excited. Again, thank you so much. As I said before, as was said before, I am a West Point graduate. I'm an attorney by trade. But what's most important to me is not these titles. What's really important to me is really me being a good father, a good husband, and just being able to take care of my family and stay in Gloucester Township, which I think we have that in common with every other family who lives here. So that's the reason why I'm running.
Outstanding, Teddy, and I can certainly attest to the qualifications of this board or this Gloucester Township team with the Army well represented, the Air Force represented, and of course, Teddy being a graduate of West Point. What a tremendous honor. Thank you so much. And him
Thank
being a
you.
lawyer, and Joe serving his country, right, being all over the world and serving his country. And of course, Natalie working very hard, right, on the streets of Camden and helping families out. So
Natalie,
here we have an outstanding, we certainly have an outstanding group of individuals that are more than qualified to represent the people. And all four of you have expressed the fact that you want to represent the people. You want to you want to represent them properly. And of course, the constitutional Republicans, we talk about principles all the time.
Yes.
And we talk about what the purpose of government.
Yeah.
And the definition of the purpose of government is right in our state constitution, Article 1, rights and privileges of the people first.
Mhm.
That's before the legislative branch and before the executive branch and before the courts. The rights and privileges of the people who live in Gloucester Township in this particular case. And what it says in Article 1, Clause 2, or Section 2, Clause A, or Clause A says all political power is inherent in the people. It's not, political power is not inherent in the board comprised of 7 Democrats and 1 mayor, I will assume is a Democrat as well now. But all political power belongs to the people of Gloucester Township. And here's the definition of government, the purpose of government. Government is instituted for the protection, for the security,
Yes.
and the benefit of the people. And they have the right at all times to alter or reform the same whenever the public good may require. And I can attribute from what I know that now the Gloucester Township citizenry, it's required that these people who are here with me this evening are elected your representatives.
Excellent.
Awesome.
And as representatives running for the positions you're doing, you're going to have to also educate. It's going to be required because we've fallen so far away from the idea of the Constitution and the principles of the Declaration of Independence first, which articulates these principles of God-given unalienable rights, of the laws of nature and nature's God, of the self-evident truth that all men are created equal, and that law is applicable to everyone equally the same. It should not discriminate. And the Democrats are famous for discriminating. And this is why you as Republicans are going to bring back equal protection, equal representation to the people of Gloucester Township. So each one of you talk a little bit about the necessity of restoring the natural rights of the people who you're representing in Gloucester Township.
Well, the natural rights of the people are individual freedoms. We
Yes.
firmly believe in limited government, rule of law, peace through strength, fiscal responsibility, free markets, and human dignity. Some of this applies nationally, but all these things it can easily be dumbed down on a local level. If you got free markets, small businesses, our businesses in town. Yeah, I've struggled. And what happened during COVID? It was terrible what happened. The fact that our mayor didn't go to any of these people, and he's happy to come around for a photo op, and he's happy to come around for a ribbon cutting ceremony and celebrate someone else's hard work and someone else's financial investment into the town. But what happened when those kind of things fail, or you have something at COVID where everybody got shut down? Then what happens? Where's the mayor then? Where's the council then? What are they doing? What are they doing for these businesses? Why didn't they go to these businesses and said, hey, you know what? I know you're shut down and you're shut down. It's not your fault. You know what? We're going to suspend your taxes. You're going to spend your taxes until you're able to open up. Use that money to try and pay your landlord or pay your things. Stay solvent. Try to keep your employees, a head above water during this time. Do what you can. The township will figure out on our end what we have to do to take care of money, but we have to keep businesses alive. Some of these people gave everything they had. I invested everything I had to become a small business owner. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of not only like confidence, but it also takes a leap of faith, and to put yourself out there. And when you do it, and the only reason why you're not successful is because of the government, you shouldn't be successful in spite of the government. You know, the government should be there to make sure that you are successful. I hope that it's not the government's fault. It's not the government's job to make businesses, but they need to be the conduit that businesses travel through to make sure that they should be a means for businesses to be successful, not the opposite way. And that's what happened during this whole COVID thing, especially at the Gulf.
In here, Joe.
Let me ask you all a question. Let me ask you all a question real quickly. We saw an unprecedented suspension of constitutional rights during the COVID lockdowns. We saw the right of assembly violated, the right of religious expression, and New Jersey Constitution says that the people have the unalienable right of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property. Well, that's just not real estate. That's your money. That's your business. So this is an inherent right. Now, did anyone on the current board push back on Murphy's unprecedented exploitation of executive orders to shut Gloucester Township down?
Gloucester Township closed the churches, and we well know that is against our First Amendment right. As a New Jersey constitutional Republican, we know the First Amendment tells us you cannot prohibit the free expression of religion. And that's what they did. They did it throughout New Jersey. But since we're talking about Gloucester Township, they closed the churches and left the liquor stores open. How unfair, how unjust.
Yes.
Could an administration cause all places of worship, not just Christian churches, mosques, and Hindu places, and everywhere, every place of worship was closed. So, since we're talking about, Phil Murphy's, what he did in guise of restrictions of our constitutional right, that was one of them. Also, we have to also relate to JR that the purpose of government is to form a more perfect union. That was the purpose of government, and to establish justice and to ensure domestic tranquility. So if you take away somebody's business, you take away their right to worship, you're taking away their domestic tranquility, which is in our Declaration of Independence.
Wow. I'll tell you, another thing about Natalie is she's run for the United States Senate. She garnered so much experience from doing that around the state, learning about what government, what the civics are, and meeting people. And this gives her another great reason, a great qualification to be chosen on the board in Gloucester Township. But Ted, I wanted to ask you, being an attorney, what's your thought about the abrogation of the 14th Amendment rights of the people of Gloucester Township? And the current board, comprised of solely Democrats, were an acquiesce with Murphy on the unconstitutional acts and not giving everyone equal protection. How could they say one worker is essential, another is not? One business can say open, another cannot. That's an abrogation of the 14th Amendment, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's not good. I think when you have a system where there's no clarity and where, folks who are in charge can arbitrarily decide which groups of people are allowed and which groups of people are not allowed, that's, for me, is a red flag. I mean, that's danger. And, I think one of the great strengths that our team brings to the table is that we have great diversity. I mean, you can just look at us in terms of who we are, in terms of our experiences. We come to the table with all of these strengths, and I think that we can make a huge difference. One thing that is in my background is, I've ran for assembly once. I ran for freeholder a couple of times. That experience, getting a chance to meet different people outside of our township, has also given me the chance to realize that where we are now, we are in a wonderful, wonderful township. What we're trying to change is we're trying to make things better. And in fact, the motto of Gloucester Township is to live, work, and play. But I gotta tell you, most residents really believe that it's really saying that we're struggling, toiling, and paying. That's really what this comes down to. And we need to change that. So that's why we're running.
Right. And I wanted to ask Ray, you embody what the founders intended representatives to be. Now, I was somebody who doesn't consider themselves to be a politician, somebody who projects themselves and is a real citizen, quietly going about his business, taking care of his family, doing what needs to be done. But you're motivated because you've seen the current injustices, the way that the township has been run. And this is what's motivated you to want to be part of the representative process. And it's very, very indicative of exactly what the founders intended.
Also, Sam.
I mean, it's not like me to get involved. When I retired, I just wanted to retire. And most combat veterans like myself, we kind of just want to be left alone. Prior to COVID-19, I started going to school for my associate's degree at Camden County College. I was working 2 part-time jobs at Lincoln Financial Field in the Wells Fargo Center, working concerts, football games, basketball games, and hockey. I was working upwards of 60 to 70 hours a week, going to school full time, still raising my kids, still doing my daily duties. And 2020 hit, and it just sucked. I mean, I wasn't working. I lost 2/3 of my income, and it's just like, it's sad. I just sat there, and these people are making decisions, and they're not looking, and all they wanted to do was just, oh, well, here's money. Stay home. Don't do anything. Here's money. And, when you're accustomed to a certain lifestyle, it's hard, and you have to make those adjustments and those changes. But the lockdowns for me, it was the mental aspect of it, because I couldn't get to my appointments through the VA. I had brothers and sisters that took their own lives because they didn't have anybody to reach out to because they were locked down. So, I mean, there's more than just it's tyrannical, it's dictatorish. It's just, it hit me really hard because of my situation. And had I not been retired and had that income, I wouldn't be where I'm sitting right now. Hands down. The township the township raised taxes in the middle of a pandemic, knowing people couldn't afford it, knowing people weren't working, knowing people were out of work. There's no source of income. They're taking money from people, and people aren't having money to replace it. And it's that they started. There's a little over 1,000 houses right now in Gloucester Township. I'm sure there's more that are up for foreclosure, up for sale.
Oh my!
This is like looking at the census when it came out for New York City. People were flooding. They're flooding out of this state, out of this township, because they can't afford it. They should be able to afford it. It's one of the basic things in life that you're supposed to be able to provide, and you're supposed to be able to enjoy as a reasonable life, and be able to pay for it and enjoy it,
Well,
especially in retirement.
there's a human dignity side of this and going back to the 14th Amendment that you spoke to, why was it fair that because I have a contracting business, that my employees don't have to be laid off, that I was able to continue to work, yet other people weren't? The unbalance of that doesn't make any sense. And the fact that during this whole thing, Gloucester Township, they basically went for we'll call it a mortgage for $53 million, which is the better part of their budget. They turn around and they still borrowed. They didn't use the whole thing. They borrowed $10 million and then raised the taxes like 9.5% last year during this thing, when people like Ray are sitting at home losing 1/3 of their income. And if he wasn't retired, and if the guy didn't blow up in a Jeep over in the desert, he wouldn't have been retired. You know what I mean? The fact that it took that
Mhm.
for him to actually have an income is sad. You know,
Yeah.
that's the kind of, that's the thing that's going on in this world right now. You know, the rule of law during this thing, you saw what happened during, you know, during all the riots and everything else. That's no way for a civil society to operate. You know, to put people out of business involuntarily is no way to run a state or a community or even a country for that matter. And they're the kind of things as a Constitution Republican, people, and I never understand the other side sometimes, and I try to. And I go, don't you like being free? Don't you
Mhm.
like being able to have your individual freedoms and pursue happiness and find a place, carve out your little place on earth and not have, somebody have their foot on your head when you're trying to swim in a deep end. You know,
Right.
it's a personal right. It's a responsibility of the government to afford it to you and make sure and again to give you a pathway to success in that system, as opposed to putting their foot on your head and like so when you're trying to swim. That is what's happened over the last year. That's what's happened in Gloucester Township, and not other in many other townships in this area. But there's
Yeah.
been a lot of them that have been very successful. There's townships that have really persevered and they're thriving. And I said one of our biggest focus, and I hope that as an administration, one of our biggest focuses is going to be on small businesses. It's going to be bringing tax income in to the town. It's going to be bringing in rateables. It's going to be by promoting things that people want to come in. This town's got to get younger. We got to get younger people coming into town. We need an influx of new money, new ideas, creative solutions to our vacant buildings that which we don't have at this point. So they're the kind of things that we're really going to be focused on for the people. So much like when I moved in this town, people that move in this town now have opportunities to go and not have to drive to Haddonfield for dinner, or not have to drive to Collingswood or Pittman or all these kind of places. We can have those small businesses here and watch what other people come. Let us be the place that people come to. That's our goal. We have many goals as a team, but I think at the forefront of it is making sure that we're making great fiscal decisions on behalf of the citizens of Gloucester Township, so their tax rates aren't being raised. That we're able to kind of bring these things down, right? Bring things down. Keep this place affordable but amazing. One of the things I like to say is when you think about Camden County, you think about Cherry Hill. Everybody does. And what makes us different in Cherry Hill? We have the same amount of people. We have 3 high schools. They have 2. We're a better location. We're closer to the shore. We're closer to Philly in most areas, right? We have better landlines. So why is it we're not Cherry Hill? Why are we the redheaded stepchild? Now, you may want to ask Dave Mayer that, because he's been in charge for 12 years. He's had an opportunity to fix these areas and bring these businesses in, to bring all those things in that Cherry Hill has, and he hasn't. He stifled growth downtown. The Blackwood Clementon Road is the place where restaurants go to die. It's sad. And these are county roads that aren't even being maintained and repaired by the county, because we're not soliciting county funds to fix these county roads, let alone the state roads, and taking advantage of the state tax fund and everything else to try and get these roads taken care of. So roads,
Joe,
and taxes.
Joe, just let me interject for a moment. It's incumbent upon the people of Gloucester Township to understand that the 4 of you and the current board probably have more impact on the lives of the citizens of that township than anyone in the federal government or even anyone in the state government, with the exception of King Murphy. But the decisions that you're going to be making fiscally, protecting your law enforcement, I want to talk about that, your schools, cleaning up your city, your public works departments, creating an environment, and you, Joe and Ray touched upon government getting out of the way, in the respect that it has to first provide an environment of safety for the people to be able to live and to go to work and to maintain their businesses. So these are decisions and these are responsibilities that you're in charge of, being on the board. And this is why the people need to realize that the four of you are going to have a lot more to say about the money that's spent by the citizens and taxpayers of Gloucester Township than those who serve federally and those who serve statewide. So let's get the word out. It's very important that you're going to be making the decisions for the people of Gloucester Township, and you're going to provide an equal application to everyone indiscriminately.
Well, we do have an amazing police force in this town, and no one will deny that. We have
Good.
it's incredible, and it's a very, very safe town, all things considered. Any town's going to have its struggles at some point. We have an amazing chief, and there's a lot of great officers that are putting themselves out there. That said, we do have a budgeting problem, and that's something that has to be addressed. We just put $7 million on borrowed for next year, and we're borrowing things for like vehicles that are going to have a 5-year service life, but we're going to be paying for them as a town for 11 years. Like that, laptops, things like that, things that fiscally don't make any sense. Now, look, I want nothing more than for our police to be the most well-equipped and the safest, officers they could possibly be. I want to make sure that they're getting counseling. I want to make sure that, because like at the end of the day, if you got to go and you got to pull a 2-year-old out of a car, and that 2-year-old doesn't make it, and you got to go home and look at your 2-year-old and show up for work the next day, us military people compartmentalize very, very well. But I want to make sure that these officers are getting that they have the resources they need to make sure that they're mentally able to fight the fight that they need to every day. But we do need to come back and make sure that that's the largest part other than the schools. The cops are the largest part of our budget. So looking at that, then making sure that we're being responsible with the people's money, because it's not our money. It's not the police officers' money. It's the people's money. So making sure that it's spent wisely is so important.
That's right.
I wanted to add something to what Joe said so that the listeners and the Facebook audience would know and have an understanding of what local government handles and what range of services we offer and what our responsibility will be to them as we serve. So, local government is responsible for the function and delivery of a complete range of services and infrastructure, like our roads, our open spaces. We'll give an account for businesses that want to come in. We will be, given responsibility of our community parks, gardens, roads, streets, bridges, libraries, swimming pool maintenance, a range of family community. Joe talks a lot about business because that's his drive, that's his thrust, and he's very strong at it. But I'm strong with family issues, family needs. And that's why we make a great team, because when there's some of us that are passionate about one area, then there's others that's passionate about the others. So when we all come together, there's a synergy for the residents of Gloucester Township. There's a oneness that we bring to the table with our open ideas to a better Gloucester Township.
Funny you say that, Natalie. So we were at a meet and greet the other day. Ray and I were there, and there was she was from the other. She was, and I don't like to say someone from the other side, because every we're on the same side. But she was very she was left of center. And she looked at me like I was an alien at first. And she says, well, let me ask you a question. And I said, go ahead. And she said, what are you going to do for the youth? And I thought of you, because that's amazing. She said, what are you going to do for the youth? These kids don't have somewhere to go. They don't have places. We don't have resources in town where these kids have somewhere to go. We don't have YMCAs in town. We don't have the river winds like West Effort has. I mean, how amazing would it be on Gloucester Township on Blackwood Clementon Road if one of these Kmart or one of these old abandoned shopping centers can turn into a community rec center or something that kids can get involved with, or they could get a pickup basketball game, or they could, there's weights, or there's resources there that give people positive things to do that are both positive mentally and physically. Maybe because they can't, there's gyms all over the place, but maybe they can't afford those gyms, and I think that's the role where government, although I'm very, very for small government, there's places where you can assert yourself and have just such an effective means, an effective way about how you're spending money. There's good spending and there's bad spending, and I'm for good spending. I'm totally against wasteful spending.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump in and just quickly address a couple of things. Number one, totally agree with what's been said. But just real quickly, I want to say that, Gloucester Township residents do not have an unlimited resource of funds. And I think when we tax us a year, it's just not fair. It's just not right. As an attorney, all of the programs and the ideas that were discussed by Natalie and by Joe, all those ideas at some point come down to pen and paper. And what I'm talking about is contracting. It's really, how do we protect our interests as a township? How do we make sure that we have fair contract bidding and you get rid of this idea of pay to play for change? How do we really look out for us in terms of choosing and selecting the projects that make sense, the projects that we really need, as opposed to all of the fluff things? And so that's where I would come in when we talk about the different passions that we have. Definitely understand contracts, definitely understands the traps that towns find themselves in by not reading the finer language in contracts, and I can do that. And so when we are elected on November the 2nd, you can expect for us to keep taxpayers' pocketbooks in mind, because it matters to families, it matters to all of us. And that's the whole point, is how we do these things. We know what to do, but how we do it is definitely so key. And that's what they've not been doing well, is the how.
I'll tell you how. You elect a general contractor to do contracts. One of the things we do is hand out municipal contracts. One of the things I do, people have said to us, hey, Joe, why do you think, you're a contractor, why do you think you'd be, you're suited for being mayor? I go, well, we hand out municipal contracts for a living. And all I do are manage contracts, manage subs, manage people, keep things on time, keep things on budget, and make sure I'm getting rid of waste. It sounds like a Republican principle, but it's just what you do as a business owner. When you're not dealing with other people's money, you treat other people's money like it's your money. That's the important thing, and that's what we're going to do.
If I could,
The
real
other
quick.
thing go ahead, Ray.
Well, you mentioned schools and we touched on it a little bit. I 100% believe politics and the council and the mayor has no place with school boards, and that's one of the biggest issues that we have in our township. The president of the council is an administrator for the school district. Somebody that was one of the council members was just brought up from the school board to take a seat on council and was appointed. We have township employees. The superintendent of public works sits on a school board. His friends are on school board. A council member's daughter's on a school board, and it's such a slippery slope that it's just, there's ties everywhere.
She was on the school board. Now she's an appointed teacher.
Even
Teacher in the district.
Even the contracts that Joe and Teddy were talking about give political kickbacks, and they've given political kickbacks to the Board of Education people that are running for Board of Education, to those candidates. Like, that's just one way that they could have cut taxes, is like, hey, instead of giving us a political kickback this year, we're just going to pay your contract a little bit less so we don't get that kickback. And they could have put that money right back into the budget. But
So one more thing we're gonna do, Ray, and council meetings and Board of Education meetings aren't gonna be on the same evening at the same time. People should not have to make a choice on,
Mhm.
it's like the head or gut. You wanna get punched in the head or you wanna get punched in the gut? Which one do you want? Because they're your two choices. You're either gonna choose the head or you're gonna choose the gut. No citizen should not be able to attend a Board of Education meeting, especially when they have children in the education system. And they should not be able to attend a council meeting. It's trickery by confusion. It's by design. You know, there's 5 days in a week. It could be fixed, and it can be fixed quickly.
You know, we've been saying, folks, that on the school boards throughout New Jersey and throughout the country, the school boards are going to be primarily responsible for the restitution of our constitutional republic. And that means that parents have to be involved with the school boards, that to make sure that the curriculum is one that would look back to a classical education. Of course, it's important to learn STEM and a lot of the knowledge that will be needed and attributed to technology, but it's important for the children to understand history, the right narration of history, learning the classics, but also seeing that they're taught civics and that their participation in voting will be very important. The other day, I shared a statistic on the Bob and Steve show, the radio show, where 32% of eligible voters voted for the governor in 2017. That's 32%. Now, the people in Gloucester Township need to come out in force and vote in the 80s or 90% to be able to put fine, qualified representatives, which I'm amazed by the diversity in the true sense of the word with all four of you. The people need to be motivated in Gloucester Township to vote and to make sure that they're going to vote for the best representatives, which you are all articulating. So it's very important to understand that. And government, you've heard the expression, all government is local. That's exactly what all of you represent in being local representatives. So I encourage the people that are listening to this conversation tonight, make sure you vote. We have a terrible example in 2017 of voter indifference and apathy, and that's what leads to the Democrats. And I'll just say this, that, you know, the Democrats are infatuated with power. As long as there's 7 of them on a board, they're not going to listen. That's why you need to get all 4 of you on the board to balance the weight of power, because the Democrats are obsessed with power, whereas as Republicans, we are more interested in proper representation because we look back to the founding document. We look back to the Declaration of Independence. We know that the government is there to secure the person and their property and to not give them everything else. You can't create their own pursuit of happiness. You merely create the environment for which people can live their independent lives and be happy in what they are able to achieve, not what the government gives them. So these are the ideas that the people of Gloucester Township need to understand.
Amen. Absolutely.
Man, 100%.
Absolutely.
Well, we've got about, we'll go on for another 10 minutes. So please, why about if each one of you give the reasons why. We've heard all the reasons why. And I must say, I am really impressed with the diversity of the truest sense of the word with all of you and managing people and running fiscal responsibilities. Of course, Joe really highlighted the importance of managing money properly, which has not obviously been done under Democratic rulership. And then the ideas that Natalie brings with the social aspect involved and getting families involved, and the great representation of Teddy, and of course Ray, and everything that he's experienced in his life, and wanting to make sure that the education is conducted properly and managed properly. So each one of you, give us your sign off and why the people of Gloucester Township should be voting for you on November 2nd.
Go ahead, Joe.
I'll go last.
Okay, I'll go first. Well, Gloucester Township residents, my name is Natalie Rivera. I hope to earn your vote on November the 2nd. And I would like to leave you with some words that I carry dear to my heart and the reason why I'm running to serve you. Jude 1:21 and 22 says, keep yourselves in the love of God, looking for the mercy of our Lord Jesus Christ until eternal life. And this is the best part. And if some have compassion, that is why I'm running, because I have compassion. And also in that passage, it says, making a difference. So Jude 1:22 says, and some have compassion, which is myself, and to make a difference in your township, my township, Joe's township, Ray's township, and Teddy's township. Vote Natalie Rivera and Team Damico November the 2nd.
Outstanding, Natalie.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You know what? I'll go. I'm sorry.
Natalie brought the house down.
She did. She brought the sign down, that's for sure. Go ahead, Ray.
Or Teddy, do you want to go?
You can go, Ray. Go ahead.
Okay. So on November 2nd, just keep in mind the two longest running factors that are on this council now. Orlando Mikado's been in there since 2004. Dave Mayer's been in there since 2010. And this is the best we can do, is what's going on in this township right now. GT, we can definitely do better. And we're here to give it to you. We may not be perfect. We're all different. We all may not agree. I wouldn't even call us a team. We're a family. And that's how Gloucester Township should be. And that's how the residents should be treated, like they're our family. And that's ultimately what I plan to bring, is the transparency and accountability, no matter the cost to me.
Awesome.
Outstanding, Ray.
Thanks so much, Ray. So, over 30 years ago, I actually, for the first time in my life, set foot in the state of New Jersey. And, I had gotten on the airplane for the first time, left Chicago, Illinois, where I was born, to attend a very prestigious start of my journey. And that journey was starting at the United States Military Academy Prep School, which is located at Fort Monmouth, New Jersey. And then from there, I was able to go on to West Point and have a great career in the Army as an Army officer, working with Patriot weapon systems, and then having a long career in the healthcare industry as an attorney. I've been blessed by God, and I have never, ever forgotten that. From a very low income family with a dad that was a pastor and a mom who was a school teacher, although low income, they filled within me and my brother high expectations and high goals and high values. And those values include service, they include leadership, and of course they include integrity. And most of all, I think they include the ability to care about people, to care about others than yourself. And that's why I'm running. You see, I have a family of 6 kids, a wife who I love and who she loves me. And all we want to do is have a better place to live. We don't have to move outside of Gloucester Township in order to have lower taxes, in order to keep our homes, in order to keep our livelihood. No, make no mistake, voters of Gloucester Township, this is your moment. This is your time, and I ask that you vote for the Damico team. Don't forget about Natalie, Ray, and yours truly, Teddy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ted.
Well said, Teddy.
Outstanding, Ted. Outstanding.
Good
I'm
job.
going to go a little different route, and I'm going to tell a story about my personal experience with Gloucester Township. So, again, I'm a contractor by trade. I amongst other things, and I like to think a good father and an excellent husband. Although my wife may beg to differ sometimes. So I bought a building downtown in Blackwood, which would now be considered a redevelopment area. Now I'm a contractor. At the time, I was flipping homes and pulling 50, 100 permits a year in town. So I go into the construction office prior to, and I said to them, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying the old Blackwood Animal Hospital." And I go, "Can I turn that into an office?" So, "Sure, it's commercial. You can do that." So I go in and I buy it. I come in, I get my architect drawing, electrical, plumbing, building permits, everything. So I come in and I hand it on the desk that I'm at, all the time. And they go, "What are you doing?" I go, what do you mean?" They go, you can't pull a permit." I said, "Well, I have an architect. I'm a contractor. I have a license. Here's my plumbing, my plumbing permit. Here's my electrical license." He says, "You can't do anything inside until you go in front of the board." I go, "What do you mean?" They go, "Change of use." No, change of use. It's commercial property. It's an office. It wasn't off. They have an office there. So no, it's change of use. So you need to hire an attorney, go in front of the planning board, get a landscape, hire an architect, or hire an architect, which I already done, get an engineer to do a drainage plan for the town, a landscape architect that lists the number and types of plants that you're going to put out there. And I'm like, "You're kidding me." Now, meanwhile, the building sits for 5 years. What do you think that place would have looked like if a contractor trying to represent his business, right? When I do renovations for a living, what do you think that building would have looked like for the last 5 years? Meanwhile, so nothing happened with it. Later, find out I've been robbed 3 times in town. Nothing's ever come out. Lost 10 years of construction assets that I've acquired over we'll call it a lifetime of construction. Dump trailer stolen, so on and so forth. All because of bureaucracy. All because I sit in a town that does not want to invite business. And I challenge anyone, if a contractor can't pull permits in his own town, who can? How are you inviting businesses in to a town? How are you going to bring anything into these desolate? It's desolate. There's vacant buildings up and down our main streets. And it's because of the administration. It's because of the way we're doing business. That stops. When I get in, that stops. When we get in, that stops. We figure out ways to get people open. You know what? I may want landscaping from you. Get open. Start making money. We'll figure out the landscaping. Let's give you a year. Get up and running. We'll figure out the minutia. But you got to get people in. You got to get them open. You got to get them profitable. People are leveraging their livelihoods and their lives on these businesses that are, trying to open up. If they're not going to do it in our town, they're going to open it up right down the street somewhere else where they're willing to have those businesses. I'm going to fight to bring businesses in. I want to bring, and the one thing I plan on doing, or it's something I think is an amazing idea. I want to hire a business coordinator, right, on staff that not only recruits businesses, but also keeps businesses open, helps people get open, helps people come into town, help them assimilate, help them understand how they can get open and stay open, and then follow up with people. What do you need? How are things going? What problems do you have? What can a township do to help you be successful? Because if businesses are successful, we're going to be successful. The town will be successful. The people of this town will be successful because their taxes are going to come down because they're going to be drawing income from other people's towns, as opposed to all the other towns are grabbing our money. Let's get our piece of the pie. Let's stop having our citizens, be taken advantage of by their own government. That's my goal. That's why I'm running. And I hope to have your vote on November 2nd.
Outstanding, Joe. And what we've seen here tonight is indicative of what we call a Republican resurgence, the restoration of the Republican Party, and is commiserate with the ideas that Abraham Lincoln, in speaking of the founding of the nation, said that all of this was not the result of an accident. It had a purpose. It was predetermined. It had a philosophical cause. It wasn't just the Constitution and the Union that led to the great prosperity of the United States, but there was something more that revolved around the heart. It was stuck closer to the heart, and that is the principle of liberty to all. Indiscriminately, everyone the same. All are created in the image of God. We are all seen before the eyes of God as one. And as Republicans, we bring back this principle. And we talk about that principle as it gives us the ability through consequence of industry and accomplishment to all, for the people to be able to fulfill their true potential with their own freedom in being given liberty to all. And that is the message that the Republican Party will take in restoring the party back to our initial principles. And I'm very, very happy that all four of you are indicative of Lincoln's very aspiration in proclaiming liberty to all, and especially liberty to the people of Gloucester Township. Thank you all so much for joining us.
Thank you,
I
JR.
hope the audience will like and share the video. And I hope to come to a victory celebration and shake each one of your hands. Of course, Natalie, I'm going to give you a kiss on the cheek, but I want to shake the hands of the gentlemen. And it's been a great pleasure to have you on a New Jersey Constitution Republican virtual conversation. And I want all four of you to promise that you'll be back on.
Absolutely.
100%.
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, JR.
Take care. Thank you.
Liberty to all. Take care.
We are.